company and the McHughes. Those were the people that had owned the home. I said, oh, really? Why? Well, the roof is leaking, and it was coming under, and it's ruining the ceiling, and I need a new roof. I said, well, seems to me you had an inspection. And the McHughes never said that that was a new roof. So my suggestion is, before you call your lawyer, is to look at your inspection. She goes, oh no, I already called my lawyer. I'm waiting for him to call me back. So I said, fine, but let me tell you something, Barbara. If you sue me, and I pay out 1 penny of my own money, I will countersue you.
If you're uncomfortable.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's Johnny.
How about a joke?
Yeah, just joking.
Open with a joke.
All right, I'll open with a joke. I was watching Jay Leno last night, and I heard a joke about doctors telling jokes about doctors. And there was a doctor who was of Asian persuasion, and he was telling a joke, and he said that a woman had came into his office, and she said, I have a problem. He said, well, what I need you to do is I need you to strip down completely naked and stand on this side of the room and walk very slowly from this side of the room to the other side of the room. And she did it, and he watched her. He said, okay, now I want you to walk very slowly, come back to this side of the room. And she did, and he looked at her and he said, she said, what's the matter, doctor? And he said, you have Zachary disease. And she says, Zachary disease? What is Zachary disease? He says, your face looks Zachary like your butt. So there's my opening with a joke. All right.
I can't wait for that screen.
Yeah, right. I didn't say it was a good one. In fact, some of the best jokes are the ones that
Don't
are
tell.
corny, right? Yeah. That's too funny. Alrighty. Let's start off with the first page. Some of you actually have. Can I borrow this? Well, this last page. Just take a full page, sure. Some of you have this. This is a little advertisement for what we're going to do next Friday, which is time management for real estate agents. You will learn how to have balance in your life while selling more homes, control of your time, and I'll also provide you with a proven 12-step time management process. Excellent seminar. We're going to provide you today with, how to stay motivated all year long, but all the motivation in the world isn't going to help you if you're completely disorganized with your time. Would you agree? So all of these go together. I'm going somewhere with these, okay? They all matter. There isn't any one that's better than the other. They all are important, each step of the way. It's not important to just have one piece of the puzzle. You need all the pieces of the puzzle to effectively make the most amount of money per hour in real estate. Now, let's start off with how to stay motivated all year long. The top 5, starting the countdown. Number 5, the most important things goals give you are A, physical energy, B, courage, or C, something to look forward to.
Courage.
Something to look forward to.
Energy.
Physical energy, that's correct.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, I purposefully put these questions before the workshop because if I gave you the workshop and then asked you the questions, well, you'd know all the answers. So I do these on purpose just to kind of get you to remember them better and more. So let's go to number 4. When the going gets tough, the tough get A, going, B, back to basics, or C, sick to their stomachs.
Back to basics.
Very good, yes. Back to basics, B. One of the most effective ways to committing to a goal is to A, tell everybody, B, keep it to yourself, or C, tell a few people. Given a choice, A would be the most effective way to make a commitment. Number 2, when both production and attitude are down, you are in a fog, a nightmare, or a slump.
All of the above.
Yeah, okay. The answer is C, slump. Number 1, problems, obstacles, slumps, and difficulties happen to low producers, top producers, or everyone.
Everyone.
Oh, you guys are good. Great. Okay, now. Let's go to the next page. some people who know me very well and know my life story would actually say that, wow, you're pretty unlucky. And I've had a lot of hardships, and believe me, it wasn't. I didn't know all the hardships I went through when I was younger were all that bad, because we didn't have Dr. Phil when I was younger, right? Or Oprah, right? So we just kind of went through the paces, and grew up with in a middle class family in a middle class neighborhood, but we fell upon some hard times when I was real young, and we had to kind of push through those times, and we learned a lot about life and love and responsibilities and just getting things done, because sometimes you don't have a choice. See, the problem with real estate is that there are too many choices. It's too easy to get into this business. It's too easy to fail in this business. It's too easy to succeed in this business, and it's too easy to do whatever you want to do in this business. But sometimes when you don't have an option, you do what you have to do to get it done, and sometimes people call that motivation. You follow me? Mm-hmm. When I started experiencing some success in my life, J.R. was telling me about his paper route. He had phenomenal paper route. My paper route was a fraction of the size of yours, but I was able to save up enough money so that I could buy clothes that fit me well enough and that were in style, so the kids wouldn't make fun of me anymore when I was in junior high school. Mm-hmm. Right?
That was motivated.
Yeah. and by the time I was 16 years old, I already bought my own car, paid for my own insurance, bought my own tuxedo for the junior prom. Wow. I paid this all working, at a grocery store and working, mowing lawns and shoveling snow and raking leaves and just saving my money, because I knew that if I wanted those things, I had to be able to put those things together and be able to buy them. I had to pay for my own license. And then to my surprise, which this really bothered me, because I figured out too late that I also have to pay for the gas that goes in the car. I figured, well, if I just get the car, and then oil changes, and when the tires wear out, and insurance for the vehicle, I had to pay for that too. And even the driver's licensing school that I had to go to, I had to pay for all that. And I have a younger brother who's 9 years younger than me. And I have a lot of respect for him. He's a great guy. And I remember when he was little, he said to me, my family, they call me Jay, and he says, Jay, how is it that you're so successful? And I never really looked at myself as successful. I was probably 16 or 17 years old. And he really made me think about it. And I thought to myself, well, first of all, am I successful? And then secondly, I thought to myself, well, if I am, how is it that he perceives me as being successful? And I'm thinking, I'm just doing what I have to do to get the job done. You feel that? You ever been in that situation where you're just doing what you have to do to get the job done? And I gave him some advice. And my advice to him was, don't ever quit. Don't ever quit. And he still takes that advice with him today. Now feel this, he went to high school at a vocational school, so he learned a trade. And when you're in a vocational school and you learn a trade, you only have academic classes half the amount of time. You follow me? Well, today he's an engineer at Bose Corporation making 6 figures.
Wow.
Okay? 9 years younger than me. And I'm so proud of him. And he keeps telling me, he says, John, I always remember what you said, don't ever quit. So some people see, that I've had success in my life. Some people would say that I'm successful. Financially, I'm okay. Relationships are great. Family life is great. And so some people would say, he's successful. And I think of that, and I'm only saying this to make a point, okay? And the point is this. People used to say, that, they'd see that I was successful in real estate and say, boy, he's lucky. He's just lucky. And I think to myself, man, I'm not lucky. In fact, I failed more times than any of the people in my office that I worked with. That's not luck. But you see, here's what I want you to hold on to. I put myself in a position to fail more times than anyone else in my office. You feel that? And I didn't do what? I didn't give up. Didn't give up, right? So, is the key to motivating yourself subjecting yourself to failure? No. I'm going to argue that it's not, okay? You know, and I'm going somewhere with this. Some of these, sometimes I give you these trick questions sometimes, just to kind of get you going. You know, so obviously you've already learned that I didn't grow into money. I didn't adopt a trust fund or anything like that. And everything I had to do on my own. And a lot of people do that, and that's fine. I'm not taking any extra credit for it. But some people would say that you know, folks you know, are you know, self-made successful people. Okay, self-made successful people, where they weren't lucky, where something wasn't just handed or gifted to them. And they want to know, you want to know how self-made, successful people motivate themselves, yes or no?
Sure. Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's why you came to the class today, right? Some of you have heard me talk about Floyd Wickman. I had an awesome opportunity to work with Floyd Wickman. Some of you have actually been to his course. He's now changed the name of the course to Star Makers, and if you ever get a chance to go to one, I highly recommend that you do it. A lot of the information I'm going to share with you today, I give direct credit to Floyd Wickman. And much of the success that I've had in real estate is due to the wise advice and wisdom and techniques and psychologically sound techniques and history-proven techniques that Floyd has provided with us as a real estate industry. And I just implemented those, and they work. So Floyd tells a story about one time when he was giving a seminar. At the end of the seminar, this gentleman approached him and asked him to sign one of his books. And Floyd said, sure, I'll sign the book for you. And the gentleman said, well, Floyd, he goes, what do you want me to write in here? And the gentleman said, well, I want you to tell me the secret of success because I need a kick in the butt. And Floyd says, okay, let me get this straight. You want to know the secret of success and you need a kick in the butt, right? Now make some noise if you understand, if you can relate to this or if this makes good sense to you. This is what Floyd wrote. The gentleman's name was Paul. He said, Dear Paul, when you learn to kick your own butt, you have learned the secret to success. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Now think about that. When you have learned to kick your own butt, you have learned the secret of motivating yourself, right? Then you've learned the secret of success. How many people here would like to learn how to get their butt kicked? Raise your hand. Right? Everyone? All right, me too. Okay, good. So the secret of success in your handouts. First of all, the first line item here where it says self-made successful people learn how to, if you would put in there, it's two words, motivate themselves. Motivate themselves. Next line item down, the secret of success is learning how to motivate yourself. Now, here's how to motivate yourself. You ready? You have to learn the dance. How many people want to learn the dance? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here's the dance. You ready? Here are the steps. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So the dance steps are 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Let me hear it. What are they?
3 steps forward, 2 steps back.
Now don't screw up the numbers. Don't turn them around. Okay, very important. I hear sometimes people do this all the time. They'll take 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Then they'll take 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. These are the people that are failing all the time. You're making good strides. You're making the first initial steps that you need to move into to be successful in real estate, and then you take 3 steps back. The key to success is to make more steps forward than making steps back, and understand and realize and develop in your mind that taking 2 steps back is normal and that you're not failing. It's part of success.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that guy that invented the light bulb? What?
Edison.
Thomas Edison. I knew that. Thomas Edison. And he was interviewed, and you've heard this story a million times, and they said he tried, he had 999 ways that he experimented with the light bulb that failed. And he was interviewed, and they said, how does it feel to fail 999 times? And he said, I didn't fail 999 times. I learned 999 ways that a light bulb wouldn't work. Right? And so I think about that and how it relates to real estate. And when you go out there and you have a failure, or you don't get the listing, or the buyer doesn't buy, or you're not able to put that negotiation together, well, just take it on as, hot dog, I've just expanded my knowledge and education, and in some cases you'll even increase your sense of humor, right? And I've learned one more way how not to sell a home, right? Mm-hmm. But some people see failure as failure, and they go into a depression, they go into a slump, and they take it too seriously, and they just take they take 3 steps back and 2 forward, 3 steps back and 2 forward, constantly trying to make it work, and it's not working for them. So you have to turn it around.
John?
Yes?
When you talk about failures, and you say, failed to get a listing, or you didn't get, there were a couple of presentations I went out on, and the next day, or 2 days later, I saw it go up on the MLS with somebody else, big company. And I didn't know why I didn't get it, and that's what really bothered me,
Yes.
And do you think it would be appropriate to contact that homeowner and
Absolutely.
say,
Yeah. And how many people like to know a dialogue that you can say to the homeowner when you call them afterwards? I mean, first of all, it takes guts to call them back, right? But you really want to know because, where did I go wrong? Where did I screw up? And some of you would be pleased to know that you didn't screw up and that they had no intention of hiring you to begin with. They were going to give the listing to their cousin who just got their license, even though you're better qualified, Bill, and a much better agent. They were using you for your price opinion, even though they weren't going to hire you. So, I mean, that sometimes can be an issue.
But they're not going to tell you that.
They
Sometimes they
will, sometimes they
they're
won't.
proud of it.
Here's the first thing that I would suggest that you learn. You want to learn the I want to think it over close first. You see, the problem is when you leave a listing appointment, now feel this, when you leave a listing appointment and you don't get the contract signed, you need to do one of 2 things.
Cry.
You need to
Maybe one of 3.
That's one of 3, right? You need to find out why you didn't get it or make another appointment. You see, if you held on to this one, here's a rule of thumb I want to share with you in real estate that will make you at least an additional 5 sales a year. Are you ready? Whenever you're face-to-face with someone, a buyer or seller, and they don't sign something, make an appointment with them. And some of you are thinking, well, make another appointment to do what with them? Let's say you're on a listing appointment and they don't sign with you. And let's say, Bill, they're going to interview 2 more people for the job of marketing their home. You make an appointment. Why? Well, what am I going to say when I get there? Who cares? You'll figure it out when you get there. No. What you want to do is, like they'll say, if they said to me, Bill, well, number one, you have to close. Some of you aren't finding out why they're not listening with you because you're not closing. I said to one woman one time, she says, John, your systems aren't working. I said, well, what do you mean they're not working? Well, they're not working because I'm going out on appointments. I said, well, let me hear your close. And she said, what? What do you say when you're closed? Obviously, when you go out on an appointment, you're closing. What do you say? And she didn't know what to tell me. So what is the best 2-word closing question in the world that you could possibly use? What is it?
Any questions?
Any questions, right? So you ask any questions. When they say no, we're all done, then what do?
I'll
Sign here.
Sign here, right? I'll get the sign in your yard in a few days. Sign here. So then they put the sign in and they get everything going. There are some handouts right there over there too if anybody needs them. Now, so then what you do is you find out why. Okay?
Is there a clipboard there?
Too many distractions for me in this room right now. I can't even think about what I'm talking about.
Sorry.
All right, where was I? Who was listening? Other than
Sign here.
Oh.
All right, sign here, right? You're closing. So let's say they say to you, they give you an objection. They say, Bill, well, I'm not really going to sign right now. And then it's your job to ask what?
Why?
Why?
First they say no problem.
Yeah, right. Well, then first you say no problem that you're not going to. Very good. That's awesome. So Bill, being a pro that he is and being well trained, he goes in and he says no problem that they're going to sign. And then you would say, just out of curiosity, why is it that you don't want to sign the offer tonight? And guess what? They will tell you. Sometimes they will lie to you in the beginning and the first time. In fact, they almost always do. Oh, well, we just want to think it over. And then you have to know the think it over close. right? And the think it over close goes, you want me to share that with you?
Yeah.
The think it over close goes like this. Just out of curiosity, I was wondering, what is it that you have to think it over? Typically, in real estate, there are 3 things that typically people want to think over. Let me ask you a question. Is it my company? Is it that you're not is it that you don't feel comfortable that my company is going to do everything that they can to get your home sold for you? And they'll say, no, you've got a pretty extensive marketing plan, and if you don't, then there's your answer. That's why you're not getting the listing, because your marketing plan stinks or you don't have one, right? And so they'll look at that and say, no, the marketing looks good. Well, let me ask you a question. Is it the price? Because that's usually the second reason that people want to think it over. And they'll say, no, it's not the price. We pretty much want to. Well, the last thing is it me? And they say, no, we really like you. Judy, you're great, and we love you. I mean, you did so much for us, and your presentation was outstanding, right?
My sister, who's an agent.
Hear what Judy just said? That's when the truth comes out. And then, because then after you give them the 3 reasons that everyone has, and it's not one of the 3, you just kind of look at them like this and go,
What?
right? And then they tell you what the reason is. So that's the best way to do it. But if you get caught where they say, we're going to interview 2 other people, then what you do is you make another appointment to come back. And here's the excuse you use. All right, great. You interview the other 2 people. When are you meeting with the last person? I'm going to meet with you after that. Well, meeting with the last person at 2:30 on Friday afternoon. Great. I'll be there at 3.
They call you at 2 and say, we listed with
Well,
come.
yeah.
Could happen.
Well, you see, I only gave the other agent a half an hour, right? And they may say, well, they might need more time than that. Okay, I'll be there at 3:30, right? I'll be there at 3:30, give you an hour. And so what happens, there are times when I've done this, and I'm walking in while they're still at the table. I'm knocking at the door, and I see all the red, white, and blue paraphernalia all over the table, and I'm coming in, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? And many times I know the agent, and I'll say, hey, Jeff, how's it going? And so that's just something that will work for you. The key is you need to find out why. If you did go on an appointment in the past and you didn't have or know those techniques that I just shared with you, then what you can do is simply call them on the phone and say, I'm doing a survey of all the listings that I didn't get, and yours is one of them. And in an effort to improve my business, I was wondering if you could just take a minute to help me out. And here's, whenever you ask someone for a favor like that, they instantly, even the meanest people, want to help you. They say, they feel bad for you, and they say, I'll help you out. Well, just out of curiosity, I know that you didn't list with me, and typically there are 3 reasons why people don't list with an agent. I was wondering if it one of the 3 things. Number 1, was it my company that you weren't happy with? And if they weren't happy with your company, guess what? Somebody's going to get mad at me when I say this, folks, so, brace yourself. It's not the company that they don't like, because whose job was it to sell the company?
Yeah.
So it's your fault. Ooh, those words are painful. Mm-hmm. It's your fault that they don't like the company because you didn't sell the company well enough. Listen, this company has so many things that I haven't met an agent yet that knows what all the things are and actually uses them all. Okay? If you did, you would blow people away. Okay? You would blow people away. So then if they do give you that, then I'm telling you, my advice to you is you need to learn how to give a better presentation. See me personally. I'll work with it and coach you one-on-one. Tell me what you're using, how you're doing it, and I'll give you some techniques and ideas of how you can improve it to compete better out there on the street. If they say, no, you think your company's great. In fact, we use GMAC when we moved from New Jersey to here and all that, so we love your company. We think the company's great. Oh, okay. Well, the second reason is, and they may just volunteer after you give them the first one. You see, you've got to get the ball rolling by giving them one of the 3 reasons. Was it the price? Yeah, Bill, to be honest with you, your price was the lowest out of everyone, and that's the reason why we listed with this agent, because they said they could get me more money. Now, this is going to fall back on whose fault is it now?
The other agent.
Right. I like that. That's good. You're good. For giving the pie in the sky price, right? But here's what you need to improve on. You need to improve on your pricing presentation. So you have a marketing presentation, a pricing presentation, and then you have to sell yourself. If you're not doing all three on a listing appointment these days, you are sunk. Or you'll get the listing and it won't sell if you don't do all three appropriately. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you do this. I've recommended this to friends and family members that are in this business. I've used it myself personally, and I highly, highly recommend that you go on www.davidknox.com and buy the Pricing Your Home to Sell video and physically play it for them at the house before you give them the CMA. I have never, if there's any one positive, powerful technique that I used when I was an agent, I was in a much deeper buyer market than it is right now, with bigger problems than we're having right now, with problems with pricing than we're having right now. And I used that video, and it was very simple. They either listed the house with me at the right price, or they didn't list it at all.
How long is the video?
The video is, I believe, 19 minutes.
And what's the website again?
www.davidknox.com.
Do you have that video?
You go on his site and you can get a preview. I've got an old one at home. He has a more updated, revised one that has better graphics and better sound quality and everything else. And so I do have it, but it's dusty in my basement in a box.
Is that KNOX?
It's KNOX, David Knox. There is nothing, it'll probably cost you $40, $50. Listen, people are spending that much money right now in the metro trying to get their listing sold, and it's not selling. You want to get your listing sold? Spend $50 on a video, sit down with them, play it for 20 minutes, watch it with them, show them what the market analysis is, and then ask them to either give them two pieces of paper in front of them. They're both MLS forms. One of them says cancel the listing, and the other one has a price adjustment and say pick one. You see what I'm saying? Because worse than having no listings at all is having a listing that won't sell. Yes?
If you were going to incorporate it in your presentation,
Yes.
Ken asked how long does it take, and I think you said 16 minutes.
Yeah, 19.
Okay, and we all groaned a little bit because it's like, okay, who's going to get someone to watch something for 19 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it be appropriate if I've got an appointment with you, I'm going to meet with you on Wednesday, say, I'm going to drop this by your house Monday morning, please do me a favor and look at this before we get there, because I'm
Yes.
going to,
Now, here's what you're all feeling, right? Here's the deal. And I knew this when I came into this environment. Whenever I get in front of a new group of people, I have to kind of work as hard as I can to retrain what's between the 8 inches between here and here. You follow me? I'm gonna give you the reasons because I know you need them. But there are some people in the room that have a successful quality called blind faith. Blind faith means, you know what? This guy worked 45 hours a week and sold 90 homes. I'm just going to do what he says. I'm just going to do what he tells me to do, and I'm not going to question it. And those people typically run off and have the most success. If you question everything sometimes too much, you will talk yourself out of doing the things that really do work. Because the biggest problem is that the seller will watch it. The biggest problem is you don't think the seller will watch it, and that's the biggest problem.
Paralysis by analysis.
Paralysis by analysis, absolutely. I like that. Thank you. And so what I would do is I went in with the expectation that, listen, this is how I work. This is how I'm going to best help you. This is how I can provide you with premier service. The worst thing I could do is walk in, don't play you this video, you do not get the education that you deserve, that you need to know to get your most valuable prized possession sold, and some other agent is going to come in here and overprice it and not get it sold, and I am doing you a massive disservice by not providing you with this educational video. Now, some people will say, I've only had this happen once, because I know some of you are thinking this too. And it did happen once. Some of the things that you worry about the most never happen. If you go in and say, listen, this is how it works. I'm going to go out, you're going to walk in, smile, pay them a compliment, take them to the kitchen table, talk about their motivation, talk about the property, talk about you and your company, get up and take a look around the house, go back to the table or the television, watch the video, and then talk about price. Never talk about price until they're sold on you and your company. After you talk about you and your company, I'm going to talk about this more in future sessions, but I just want to kind of give you the whole system. You talk about you and your company. You say to them, listen, if we could agree on price, do you have any reservations about hiring me or my company? And it gives them a chance to say what? No. You see, psychologically, people want to say no. So stop asking them questions and using the old way of selling by asking them a question that they're going to say yes to. Because they're used to salespeople, and salespeople are used to working with customers. How many times do you ever walk into Radio Shack or a store, and the customer and the salesperson says, "Hi, can I help you?" And you instinctively say no. But then 30 seconds later, you're like, "Where is that salesperson? I need to find batteries," right? But you instinctively said no, right? So what I love to do is I love to say, do you have any reservations about hiring me and my company to market your home if we could agree on price? Now, I know I've given them a bang-up presentation on marketing about me and my company and what we're going to do to get their home sold. And so they would say, well, if we can agree on price, yeah. And then I would give them, is that a yes? And they'd go, yeah. I go, you sure? Yes. Okay, great. Then I go, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to watch this 19-minute video. And only once did this happen to me. And listen, folks, I wore this tape out. I had to buy another one. I watched it so many times. One time, someone said to me, how long is that video? And I said, it's about 20 minutes. He said, you know what, John, why don't you just tell us what's on the video? And this is what I said to him, because it's true. I said, listen, I could definitely tell you what's on this video, and it would literally take me about an hour and a half to tell you everything that's on this video to get you to understand it. Or you can watch this for 19 minutes, and that's the quickest way of doing it. And by the way, this is the largest investment of most people's lives. And this is what's different between me and other agents, is that this is how I work. Listen, I've watched this video probably 100 times. Do you think I want to watch it again? And to tell you the truth, I don't mind watching it if it's going to help you. And I know it will, so let's play the video. Where's your VCR? And I had some of you younger people don't know what I'm talking about. They used to have VCRs, they're just, and there were tapes, now they have the DVDs. So you can buy the DVD. And I would just start walking right over to their TV, and I would hand it to whoever was closest to me and say, here, can you pop that in for me? And then I would sit on their couch. And what would they do? They'd follow me. They'd sit on the couch. Here's a technique while you're watching the video with them. Sometimes they're going to talk. Sometimes they're going to. No one ever cuddled with me. No. I will tell you a funny story. This is true, and I thought it was kind of funny actually after the fact. I was on 2 listing appointments that evening, and the first one started at 6. I got to the second house at 8 o'clock. By 9 o'clock, I was watching the video, and I had my hand on the sofa like this, and I just rested my head on my hand, and one was sitting in a chair over there, and one was sitting on the other end of the couch with me over here. And I just remember sitting there and watching the video, and then all of a sudden,
yeah, he did.
like this, and I woke up, and they both started cracking up laughing. They thought that was the funniest thing in the world, because they were probably making faces at me and stuff while I was sleeping. And I fell asleep. I was so tired. And I did get the listing. I got it at 7%. I sold it within less than 90 days, and I helped them buy another home. So yes, I did get the listing. So I'm not saying that you should fall asleep and that you will get the listing. But you know what? They thought it was kind of funny, but they watched the video. Now, here's a technique that I was going to share with you. Sometimes they'll be watching the video, and all of a sudden one of the couples will go, and then I'll go like this. I'll say, oh, what? This is a good part right here. I'll direct their attention back to the TV. Sometimes they'll talk to me like Bill. Let's say Bill's watching TV and I'm watching it. See, they'll copy you. They'll watch you. This is a bad time for you to get on your cell phone in the other room. This is a bad time to start filling out paperwork. You want to watch the TV like it was your first time watching that video, even though it was your 100th time, because they will do what you do. They will follow you. And so if Bill says to me, hey John, what about, what did you think of the garage? And I'd go like this to Bill, and I wouldn't take my eyes off the TV. I'd go, yeah, it was good. But we'll talk about that later. And I just keep watching until. So you have to direct their energy toward the TV, and you're the director. You follow me? These are little techniques. They seem like little tiny things, but they make such a huge difference. You follow me on this, guys? You with me on this?
Yep.
Okay. Yes,
Life is such a stage. I'm just wondering, is this like the second visit you already know what the price is going to be, or does it even matter in this application?
Typically, for those of you that are new, don't try this, okay? One-stop listing appointment. My goal, if you're an agent, your goal is to go on a one-stop listing appointment, if you can, okay? So here's how do you go on a one-stop listing appointment? Well, first of all, I joined a coaching program, and I figured out how many extra hours I worked by going on an appointment twice, you know?
Right.
Huge. You want to make the most money per hour in real estate, go on the appointment once. And some people say, well, John, I have to do a scientific CMA. Let me ask you a question. Are CMAs scientific?
No.
They're an opinion of value, right? Let me ask you something else. When you sit down and you do a market analysis on a property, what information do you type in MLS to provide the comps? Rooms, bedrooms, baths, garage, style of home, square footage, land size. Can you get all that information over the phone? Absolutely. Now, don't try this if you're new. When you do the market analysis, you have what I call a ballpark CMA. When you get to the house, and if it's a real dump, you're going to take your bottom price and reduce it 10 grand or 20 or 30 grand. When you get to the house and you find out that they have a three-season porch out on the back with a built-in swimming pool inside of it, you're going to raise the price a little bit. You see where I'm going with this? And so your CMA is a range, and when you get there, you can easily explain it. You can say, well, now that I've been in your home and I can see what the comps are saying, we should price your home between $400 and $425. Based on what I'm seeing here, I think we should price it at $450. Or you may say, based on what I see here, I think we should price it at $325. Okay? And so that takes skill, gang. It takes skill to be able to do that, to price a property on the spot. But listen, your comps aren't going to change. If you go there, look at the house, and go back to the office and do it again, and you run the risk of losing the listing to another agent while the time goes by. Also, when you're on here's what I used to do. You're going to laugh at this. When I was a two-stop CMA person in the beginning, before I developed the skill, I used to say, listen, the last thing you want to do is list with an agent that only comes to your house one time. You need someone to go back and really study your property, take measurements of the room of the foundation, go back to the property, and do a proper market analysis to get all their ducks in a row, and then come back to you and present you with the CMA and how they list and sell their property and the marketing plan and all this other good stuff. And then when I started doing one-stop CMAs, I said, listen, the last thing you want to do is list with an agent who will waste your time and go back to your house 2 times. Always comes a bit. You know what I mean? So it can work either way. Yes.
Do you ever ask them prior to going what their expectations are for what they want for the house?
Absolutely. Part of your pre-qualifying question. I mean, you're going to learn all these things in the future workshops, and I don't mind giving you previews and answering all your questions. But part of my pre-listing questions were, why do you want to sell your home? And sometimes they would say, we don't. We just want a CMA. And I'd say, oh, well, that's fine. And I'd do it over the phone and mail it to them and ask them to send me a check for $200. Seriously. I mean, and they would. You know, it's like an appraiser would do that, you know. And I want to get paid for my time, energy, and effort. They actually respected me more. I added them to my sphere of influence list, and they get a postcard from me every month, and I expected them to send me referrals and or use me when they were going to sell them. See, too many of you are doing things for free and expecting that people are going to give back to you, and they're not. You know the best way to make a friend? Some people say do them a favor. No, ask them for a favor. Think about it. Who do you ask for if you need a ride to the airport or help moving your furniture? You ask a friend, right? So when you ask a stranger for a favor, you automatically associate them with a friend. You learned some good stuff today, gang? You know, by expanding your mind a little bit, helping you think about things a little differently? Yes.
You know, you're talking about the 19-minute video.
Yes.
You sent me to that seminar in Boston, and this is so embarrassing that I cannot remember the person's
Mike
name.
Ferry.
Unbelievable. Everybody has to go see this guy.
Yeah.
But it is unbelievable.
Yeah.
To sell me is to sell everyone. But I've always listened to him, and now with those CMAs, it's to their house emailed before I even get there. They already have it, and I have a range, and I know exactly what you're saying when you get there and you find out that, wow, this house is really ugly. Wow, it's really nice. And you adjust it from there. But they told me something that really unstressed me about all of it. They said one of 3 things will happen. They will give you the listing, they will not give you the listing, or you will not accept the listing. And it's just that simple. You're either going to get it, you're not, or they're
Right.
unreasonable and you're not going to take it.
But here's something we touched. I love what you said. Let me expand on that. What Tina just said is beautiful, right? Sometimes what happens, the part you said, or you'll choose not to accept the listing, right?
Absolutely.
Here's the reason why some of us do choose to accept the listing, because that's the only listing appointment you've had in 3 months. So you're attached to the outcome. You go out there, you feel like you need the listing because you're listless, and so you do anything and everything you can to get the listing. So what happens now, if you had a system in place where you were generating enough leads to you, you would feel comfortable saying no to a listing, and you wouldn't have to feel like you have to take the listing. I can't tell you how many agents I've met that they just come in and they say, oh, I got this listing. You know, they're depressed that they have this listing, you know. I have to call this seller. I have to talk to this. Get rid of them. It's your choice. And now you have more time, energy, and effort to go and focus on listing with someone that will appreciate your efforts. Here's the other thing. Make another appointment. If your listing isn't selling, make another appointment, get the video, play the video, ask them to adjust the price or cancel the listing. Because it's not going to sell. And you don't want to be that agent that says expired at the end of that listing. You know what? Cancel it, and you be the person that cancels it. Don't let them cancel it on you. Don't let them be the excuse that you're not marketing it enough. That's crap. Okay.
I just did this.
Right?
Yeah, just
Yes. So,
I did it yesterday.
yeah, and it works. Now, getting back to motivation, right? How to stay motivated all year long. Step number one. Step number one is set a goal.
Thanks for keeping me prepared.
Number one is set a goal. Now, on your page, not the goal page, JR's on the right page, you got it. There are some blanks that you need to fill in.
Yeah.
Set a goal. A goal gives you physical energy, right? We learned that when we went through the questions 5 to 1. A goal gives you physical energy. You can get blank without blank. You can't get blank without blank. You can't get out of a slump without physical energy. Sometimes people say, oh, you're in a slump, make some calls. Just make calls. Listen, you can't get out of a slump making calls. You need physical energy to get out of a slump. Think about it. And sometimes people just wait for the physical energy to come by resting and relaxing and getting their mind off of things, right? And it eventually comes around. I just need to get more sleep. Or sometimes I need to drink more wine, right? You know? And I was pointing to someone. Who are you pointing to out there? Oh, jeez. Wow. Hey. All right. So, that's too funny. So when we set a goal, we have to make it a SMART goal. And to make it a SMART goal, on your page, it has to be S-M-A-R-T. An S-M-A-R-T goal. Now, for the S, I'm not going to write it down. I'll give it to you verbally. You can write it down. Next to the letter S for the acronym SMART is specific. M is for measurable.
And that's what?
Measurable.
Oh.
Yes. A, attainable. R, realistic. And T, tangible. Now, I'm going to look at my watch right now, and I'm going to give you 45 seconds to write down your goal, okay?
goal or goals?
Goal. One goal. Your goal for 2008. Ready? Go. Yep, your goal for 2008. What is your goal for 2008 as it relates to real estate? I know you have many personal goals and other goals. 30 seconds left. Five seconds left. Okay, time's up. Okay, read me your goal. Somebody read me your goal. Yes.
Agent of the month, at least twice.
Agent of the month, at least twice. Yes.
Work less.
Work less. Okay, what else?
Work smarter.
Earn
Work
more.
smarter. Earn more.
Sell one property per month times 6 months. List 2 to 3 properties per month times 6 months.
Okay.
Say that again.
Create
Now-
business that closes.
Now, all right, now feel this. Watch this. Are you ready?
Business that closes.
Watch this. Now, you read your goal, right, to me? Let me ask you a question. Is that goal specific?
Yes.
And I got the first one.
Is it measurable?
Yes.
Is it attainable? Is it realistic? Is it tangible? Here's what I'm going to challenge you to do. 90% of what you read to me, what I heard, is not specific enough. Like some of you say it's specific. And I'm not picking on this person. I forgot who said it, but let's say agent of the month, let's say, right? Well, to make it specific, you have to make it realistic. I'll give you an example of why it's important to have it more specific than that. If you say to me, John, I want to sell enough property so that I can buy a car. And I would say, great, a car. Good for you. Well, here's what a good coach would ask you. What kind of car? Suzanne, what kind of car is it for you? A Lexus. And then I would say to Suzanne, what color is the Lexus?
Black.
Black. How about the windows? And is there a moonroof?
Yeah.
There is? Yeah? Great. What color? How about the wheels? I know there are different options.
Oh, I don't know about the wheels.
Chrome, bright chrome, spokes, no spokes.
Shiny.
Shiny.
Shiny wheels? Okay, great. And on the inside of the vehicle, what do you smell? Is it a cloth interior, leather interior? And what color is the interior?
Green. Lighter, a tan color.
Like a tan color. Okay, great. And what do you see on the dashboard? What kind of accessories do you see on the dashboard?
I want one of those, the GPS, and then I want the stereo where you can just say the song and it comes on, or you can call somebody.
Nice. Now what I want you to do is close your eyes, put your hands out like this, and imagine yourself in that vehicle and driving down the road. Where are you driving? Where do you see yourself driving in this vehicle?
To a listing.
Yeah, I'm going to the beach.
Okay, going to the beach, right? Driving away from that listing you just rejected, right? That you chose not to take, right? Now that's
a bottle of wine.
now what's the difference? Now imagine this: agent of the month, or that's like saying agent of the month is like saying a car. Work less is like saying I want a car. You follow me? Make more money. I hear that one a lot too. That's like saying it's a car. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some time now to write a very specific goal. Take what you have as the basis and now make it extremely specific. Let me give you some help with this. Let's say if it's like agent of the month or make more money. Well, which month do you want to be agent of the month? In which office? And what do you like say this, I want to be the agent of the month in the month of March. And how are you going to get there? So be more specific. Like for instance, I'm going to close 2 listings and 3 sales, and and I'm going to have a gross commission income of $13,400. And if some people say, if I'm going to work less, well, how are you going to work less? Be very specific about it. Now, this is I warn you ahead of time before you come to these events, is that these are workshops, right? Keyword workshop. So sometimes you do a little work, not a lot of work. I'm the one who does most of the work. I'm standing up in the room sweating. You guys are just sitting down making notes, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a little work. Here's why I'm going to ask you to do it now. Can you guess if I said to you, after you leave this room today, go back to your office or go home tonight sometime, open it up to this 3rd page, sit down, have a glass of milk, and just write down a very specific goal. How many people realistically would do that? If you were given a room of 100 people, maybe 1 out of 100 people would actually take the time to do that. So what's great about coaching too, and great about going to workshops, is it gets you to do things that you wouldn't normally do. You see, it's something magical too about going from your brain to your hand to the pen to paper. Thousands of studies have been done at colleges and universities about people who are successful. The most successful people in certain groups had written goals. That was the only difference between people who had succeeded and who didn't succeed, is they had written goals. Yes?
My first year back in real estate, my goal was to pay for just 1 semester of my son's tuition. And I did so well, I paid for the whole year. So I have to agree with you, because I had that written down. Every day I sat at my desk, I said, tuition payment due by. And that motivated me. And next thing I knew, not only had I been agent of the month twice that year, but I paid for the whole year. I didn't expect to. I was only going to do one semester. So I know I lacked off because I had to pay that 1 year.
Right, and now part of what we're
So
we're
it's very
doing
true.
here, thank you so much for that testimony too. It does work. So now that you know that, I'm going to give you 60 seconds to write a specific, measurable, and attainable, realistic, tangible goal. Ready? Go.
Yeah, I know.
And then I'm going to ask for some volunteers to share your specific goal.
We're just writing the goal right now.
Yeah. And just make it as specific as possible.
What I'd like to do.
Maria, line one.
Who's finished and who would like to share? Yes.
Oh, I didn't want to share.
Oh, okay.
Well, I just put make 12 sales by December 31st, 2000.
All right, good.
Well,
Now,
didn't
Sue,
hear.
go ahead, say it again, please.
Make 12 sales by December 31st, 2008.
Yeah.
Right. Make 12 sales by December 31st, 2008. Is that specific?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it measurable?
Yes.
Is it attainable?
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone else believes it is, so.
My second
you
one
have
was
to-
make 6 sales by by December 31st. 2008. I caved
Yeah.
because of the attainable part.
Everyone else thinks it's attainable, right? See, sometimes you'll just surpass what it is. You know, and it is good. You don't want to say, I want to make 100 sales if it's your first year of real estate. I mean, it has been done, but is it realistic, right? Probably not. Is it tangible? Is it something that you can see, hear, feel, touch, right?
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. Who can share another goal that they have? Yes, Bill.
My first goal said to triple the income of 2007. The second goal was to triple the income from our real estate business in 2007.
Great. So you made it more specific.
All right.
Great, excellent. Good example of making it more specific. And what I would coach Bill on is I would say, well, how, if we had more time in this class and more time working together, I would say, well, how are you going to do that? And then Bill's goal would read like this: to triple our income in 2007 in real estate by getting 12 listings, 6 buyer transactions, and I would attract these 12 listings by calling for sale by owners and expireds every day until they drop.
All right.
Right? Right?
John,
Yes.
just to fine tune that though, from that telephone thing on Wednesday,
Yes.
okay, if the goal's the overriding thing, all those things you just listed would be the objectives, what I'm gonna do to get to that goal.
Yes. Absolutely. Right? Absolutely.
So
And
when you're
it
writing
just
the goal,
clearly
you don't have to have all that stuff there, you just have the broad goal and then just bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, if you have those objectives, that is what makes the goal specific and more attainable and more believable. Absolutely. It forces you to think it through more. Like, how are you going to get there? It's not good enough to just say, I want to make more money. Well, how are you going to make more money? You have to set that up as a goal. Now, the second step is to make a commitment. Make a commitment.
She must be on vacation today.
Now, let me ask you a question. You've all had bacon and eggs, right? Raise your hand, right? You've all had bacon and eggs, right? Some of you had bacon and eggs?
How many?
Now feel this. It's the hen that made a contribution. It's the pig that made the commitment.
Yeah.
Right? Now that's the difference between making a contribution and making a commitment. Now, step number 3 is step number 3 is go back to basics. Now, to make a commitment, what you're going to do is you're going to tell everybody what you're going to do this month or this week. Tell everybody. Tell people in your office. Tell people in your family. Tell the admins. Tell your friends. Tell the person who makes the sandwiches next door. I mean, this is what you're going to do. It helps make you more accountable. I remember when, one of the first jobs I had, I wanted to attain an accreditation. And I worked for a kitchen and design company where we did kitchen and bath designs of really beautiful furniture-like cabinetry and professional, great appliances and all this good stuff. And being a designer was a very difficult job. And you had to learn a little bit about everything that had to relate to a house. Okay? And there's an accreditation that goes along with this. It's called CKD. It stands for Certified Kitchen Designer. And it's a pretty big deal for people in that industry. And my goal was to be the first certified kitchen designer in my office. What you don't know is that I was the youngest person there and the person with the least amount of experience, which was also my motivation of wanting to get it so that I could overcome the other things that I had that were some challenges for me. And so I worked hard, and I studied, and I studied, and I studied. The exam is a 6-hour-long exam. And it's very intense. And it only came around to Boston once every 6 months. And if you failed, you had to wait another 6 months for it to come around again. Very, very intense. So I studied, and I practiced, and I drilled, and I rehearsed. And the people in the office were laughing at me. The owner of the company took me to this large cabinet in the office, and he opened up the cabinet doors, and I saw 5 different volumes of the study course there, and he said, "John, in the past, I've had 5 different people start the course and never finish it and never get their CKD." He said, because I asked him if he would pay for it for me, the owner, and he said, and he showed me how many people had failed, and he said, "If you get it, I'll pay for everything, and I'll even pay for the test." And I said, okay. So what he wanted me to do is he wanted me to pay the money first, and it motivated me to do what? This is a crack up. Some people say to me, "Oh, the David Knox video. I got an idea, John. How about you buy it for the whole office and we'll share it?" Blah, laugh. Right? It's like, and what do I say? Could I buy the video? Sure, I could buy the video. But something for nothing has little or no value. Own the video. When I tell you to buy something, it's because I want you to own it. I mean, I really want you to own it. I want you to use it, okay? I really want you to use it. So what I did was I went out and I ordered my business cards that had the accreditation, the CKD initial on it, and I showed it to everyone in the office. And one guy said to me, he got really mad, he said, you can't use those, you can't use. I said, "No, I'm not going to use them, I'm going to keep them in my drawer so that once I get my accreditation, I'm ready to hand them out." Now let me ask you a question. Was that an example of number 2 or what? Yeah, absolutely. Because you knew what? I knew I could get it if I just didn't quit. Right? And I just kept going back to basics. And what did I do first before I made a commitment? Set a goal. National Kitchen and Bath Magazine did an article about me. They came in, they took my picture, they published it in the magazine. The country's youngest certified kitchen designer, and they did a whole lot. It was great. It was great publicity and everything else like that. But it was setting the goal first and then making a commitment. The way that you make a commitment is you what? Tell everybody, right? Now, some people make excuses. I've made a note here. Losers make excuses, right? "Oh, I'll do better when the rates start going up and buyers start getting more excited to buy homes. Oh, I'll do better once we can get more prices for properties. I'll get more listings when the market slows down." Or here's this one. I love this one. I've heard this before. Well, I couldn't log into MLS today. How about this one? There are just too many agents in the market right now. There are just too many agents. These are excuses, right? Excuses for not setting a goal and making a commitment. So make a commitment. Winners make a commitment. Thank you. Step 3, go back to basics. Let me ask you this. What did you do when you first got into the business?
Study.
When you went to training, what did they tell you to go out in the street and do?
Pass out your cards.
Cold canvas.
Knock doors.
Yeah.
I've listed some items 1 to 10 there for you, so you can stop making notes here. Knock doors. What were the other items?
Figure out your sphere of influence
Awesome.
and work.
I love that. Figure out your sphere of influence and work that sphere of influence. I've had people that have come to me and asked for some help and coaching, and they've been in the business 15, 20 years. And I say, okay, well, tell me about your sphere of influence. And they say, well, I've got tons of past customers and clients, and I get referrals all the time. And here's the thing. If you properly work your sphere of influence, your sphere of influence grows and grows and grows. Listen, by my 5th year in the real estate business, my sphere of influence went from 200 people all the way up to 1,395. I remember the number exactly. Because every month I'd buy 1,395 postcards. It would cost me $460 a month just to buy these cheap little postcards to send out to my entire sphere of influence. The year that I sold 90 transactions, 73% of that business came from those postcards and referrals from personal business, and I had 0 prospecting for sale by owners and expireds. 0. So when I say work a sphere of influence, you really need to work a sphere of influence. I mean, your goal every day, if you were coached by me, and we met once a week, and you made the commitment to be coached by me, every week I'd ask you, how many people are in your sphere of influence? What's your goal to add how many people to your sphere of influence? And let's say you'd say 3 or 5 or whatever, and then I would say, okay, great. I'd meet with you the following week, and I'd say, okay, so how many people in your sphere of influence? And you'd tell me, I'd write it down. And last week you said you were going to add 5 people to your sphere of influence. Did you do it? And you'd say, yes, no, maybe, or you'd make excuses or whatever. And but the goal is if you make a commitment to do something, well, you're more apt to do it if you know someone's going to ask you later, right? And so what happens is some people will sometimes panic 2 days before they're going to meet with me, and they'd run around and add 5 people to their sphere of influence, right? And they'd get it done. But what happens is by being coached and agreeing to be coached, you know, a very famous person once said, when you are willing to be held accountable, a person who is willing to be held accountable, when you're in the presence, let me try it a third time, when you're in the presence of someone who's willing to be held accountable, you are in the presence of nobility.
Oh, I love that.
Sphere of influence. What else?
Hand out cards.
Hand out cards. What else?
Wear your name tag.
Name tag. Awesome. Ken and Tim, they have theirs on. I think the only people that wear their name tags are men with 3 letters in the beginning of their name. That's I think that's the rule in this office. So Ken and Tim have their name tags on. What else? Come on, you can't all be that far out.
Participate in either an organization or a community event, or get yourself out there.
Can I say networking?
Networking.
Networking? Can I say that?
They still do cold calling?
Sure. Cold calling.
Is that not good?
I've heard it called. I've heard it called warm calling. If you're calling for sale by owners and expireds, should we add that maybe? Do they tell you to do that when you're new in real estate? For sale by owners and expireds. You know what's interesting is that they tell the new people in this business to go calling for sale by owners and expireds, and they screw up a lot because they're new. But these are, so every now and then you get a firecracker in the business who gets out there and does it, and they don't care that they're screwing up a lot. In fact, some of the most successful people in this business screw up more than anybody, but they just keep doing it a lot. There's a message in that. Okay, there's a message in that. So, but listen, if you've been in the business 4, 5, 6 years and your business is down, who's your competition? Who's competing with you against the for sale by owners and expireds? People that are brand new in the business. And for those of you that are brand new in the business, you don't have any competition because no one else is calling these people. So seriously, call them. They're there. There's an agent in our company who has over 50 listings right now. How do you think she got those listings?
I want to know.
Oh, yeah.
I do. What was that? Is it for sale by owners and?
Listen,
Who is it?
don't get mad when I Sue Moore. Don't get mad when I tell you what it is.
She does all of those.
Here. She's doing all the things that they told us to do when we first get into this, but she's doing them over and over with 10 years plus experience, and she's doing it over and over and over again, right?
She is so focused.
Guys,
She's in our office now. I love her. I
But
love her. I'm watching her.
It works.
She's so focused.
It works.
We're afraid of rejection. That's why
Yes.
we're afraid to phone. You know.
Absolutely. You know, sometimes, and this, thank you, Mark, for saying that, because that's we're all thinking that. You know, I don't like rejection either. Nobody likes rejection. But here's what I know, that if, you know, in order to get the yeses, you have to get the nos. You know, I remember going to a seminar one time where he said, listen, if you make $1,000 for every 10 people you call, if one person says yes, and you make a sale for $1,000, all the people that said no just paid you $100, right? $900. So you know, when somebody says no to you, say, okay, thank you for the $100 and hang up, because you know by the 10th person you're going to make $1,000. So you see that it's kind of like, you know, the no's. You have to go through the no's in order to get the yeses. And here's what I would also like you to do is realize that they're not rejecting you personally, and it's very hard to overcome this. It's a lot easier said than done. They're rejecting the idea of getting their property sold. They're rejecting the idea of pricing it right. They're rejecting the idea of getting pre-approved by a lender. They're rejecting these ideas. So you have to do one of two things. Either don't take it personally and move on, or improve your skills of convincing them that they need to do the things that they need to do to make it happen. If they can be sold. Sometimes people have a condition. There's a difference between a condition and an objection. An objection can be overcome. A condition cannot. I'd like to sell my home, but I can't afford to because I don't have enough equity in my home, and I want to buy a bigger house, but I can't because I have to get my property sold before I buy another one. Can you overcome that objection? You can't. It's a condition. They don't have enough money, unless you're going to give it to them. Right? So they can't do it. So that's a condition. Move on. Some of you are taking that as rejection. You went on a listing appointment and you didn't get it, and you're walking around feeling like you got rejected and you didn't. So try to hold on to those thoughts. Don't take it personal. What else?
Go to seminars.
Seminars, training,
Education.
absolutely.
I'd say nowadays, talk positively about the market. Don't be down.
Yeah, stay positive. Excellent. You know, you have to change your way of thinking sometimes before you can actually get involved in these activities. The reason why you're not doing some of these activities is you have a different mindset about them, a negative association with them versus a positive association with them. Sometimes, you know, here's what I've always heard. People stop making calls. You know, these people aren't that bad. I thought they would yell at me. Listen, there are only 7 angry people in the world. They move around a lot, but there's only 7, so don't worry. And they're not going to yell at you, right? What else?
Know the answers, or in other words, the dialogue.
Yeah, practice your scripts and dialogues, right?
I don't like saying that as much as I like answers. You know, it almost makes me, you know, and this goes back to the thing about, you know, how you perceive salespeople.
Yes.
You know, that when you say dialogue, it sounds contrived. And, you know, when I say know the answers, it sounds like now I'm in a position where I'm an expert and I'm giving you some
professional.
education.
Absolutely. I love that. And thank you for reframing that. That's a great way to put it. So learn what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. Learn your dialogue. Yes,
I think
Ken?
when you first start out in the business, you got to fake it till you make it.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's right. Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, you remind me of that saying Cary Grant once said, I acted like Cary Grant for so long, I became him. Right? And I've heard this saying, dress for the job you...
Lucky
Hey,
you.
feel this, you ready? And I gave this advice to my younger brother, and he said it worked for him. Dress for the job that you want, not the one you have.
My Cary Grant is Tim, but I haven't lost the hair yet.
Oh, nice.
I'm working at it, though.
Great. Stay on it. You can always use a razor. You know, that's in right now, actually. So, what else?
Open house.
Open houses. What else?
Buy a power suit.
Absolutely, I love that. Yep. Dress for success. I like that, Joan. Power suit.
Let's go shopping.
Everyone has that suit that it's the same suit they always wear to a closing. You know, I don't know why in this industry we feel like we have to get. I think we heard that on the call. Or is this where David Knox was saying that why is it that some of us feel like we have to get all dressed up to get our check, but we don't have to get dressed up to get to the point where you do get the check. Okay, what else?
Market yourself.
What else?
Corporate calling. Corporate calling.
Sure. Corporate calling. What else?
What?
Corporate.
What's that mean? Contact apartment.
What's corporate called?
Apartment complexes. Yes.
Oh.
Builders.
What is corporate called? What is that?
I assume to get their referrals from people holding in
I don't know.
Headhunters.
So here's the bottom line, right? And I love this poster over there. It says, "Do something," right? Do something. When you're in a slump,
That's the best one.
do something, right? Do anything, right? Do anything. Okay. So those are some examples of when I say get back to basics. So, motivation. Go to the next page. Step 3, continue. Do you have that on your page? Step 3, continue.
Yep.
Here are the answers. You ready? Write this in. Motivation and success does not last. We all go into a slump.
That's so true.
See, what I'm doing today is I'm bringing you to a higher level of awareness that, you know what? It's normal. It's just normal. Okay? Sometimes we don't know. Sometimes we don't know. We are in a slump.
I know.
We think it's everybody else or everything else around us. You know? Oh, those buyers are jerks. Oh, those buyers don't want to buy. Those sellers just don't want to listen to my price. You know, we're blaming on everyone else when in fact that you could just be in a slump. You see, the problem with being in a slump is you don't know you're in a slump until you start to get out of it. Think about that. Right? But the way you need to get out of that slump is you need to have physical energy. And the way you have physical energy is you make a commitment and you set a goal. And then you get back to
Basics.
You got it. Here is what you do next time you go into a slump. Are you ready? Next time you go into a slump, here's what I want you to do. I want you to do the dance. You ready? 1, 2, 3. And here's the slump. 1, 2. And then you take how many steps forward? Wait, ready? 1, 2, 3. Right? Right. It's kind of like a salsa dance, right? Now, in fact, on your notes right there, it says the next part of the dance is 3 steps forward. So write down 3 steps forward. And right above that is the number 2, where it says going 2 steps back. Now, like I said before, don't reverse those numbers. Don't screw them up. Now, follow me up. Look up here for a second. Now, when you feel like you're losing it, when you feel like you're going backwards, okay? When you've done this, and you're living life, and you're living real estate, and you feel like you're going back, here's what I want you to do. Set a new, then make a
new commitment,
and then go back to basics. You got it. Now, on the bottom of your page, it says quit. Don't do that. Don't quit. Quit looking. Quit looking for the secret. You just found it. See, here's another problem. People keep going to seminars and workshops and buying cassette tapes, and not cassette tapes. I'm just buying DVDs and workbooks and going to events and all these different things. When in reality is that they're looking for the secret. Then you know what? You just found the secret. Here's another secret in terms of going back to the basics. Stay in training for how long?
Forever.
Forever. You got it. Keep coming to these classes every Friday at 10 o'clock. I've not had one person come through these training classes that hasn't said, that could say, well, I didn't learn anything new. Right? Now, go to the next page if you would, and this is what I call, it's time for fishboning. Fishboning is an interactive workshop technique that we use to get everybody involved. So what I'd like you to do is each person has an opportunity to volunteer.
Just found it.
And so what you do is you go around, and I'm going to ask you each for an idea of what you do to stay motivated, or what you do to stay motivated. And I'd like everyone to write down everyone's idea. And here's one of the rules. You cannot criticize anyone's idea or dispute it in any way. You just have to write it down. And if you want to clarify what you do to stay motivated, or a technique that you learned to stay motivated, or something that you did to stay motivated in the past, then go ahead and share us. Why don't we start with the folks out in the hall, since you feel a little detached.
Go to the weekly meeting.
Okay, so everybody write that down. Go to weekly meetings. Right? Yes.
Go out.
Go out. All right. Where would you go?
Go to any events you can. Give your card out as much as you can.
All right, great.
Whether it's
Network.
Yeah.
Go out.
Don't we get free membership to the Chamber of Commerce?
I don't know.
I think
That's a
we
good
do.
Yes,
question.
we do.
Yes.
The company's supposed to have a membership and we're supposed to be entitled to it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right, yeah, I can check into that. So Chamber of Commerce meetings. Great.
Look at my stack of bills.
Look at your stack of bills. That motivates you, fear motivation. All right, good. So why don't we start this way? We'll work around the perimeter.
We have one
Yes.
more. One more.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I didn't see
Getting
you.
one paycheck.
What's
Wants
that?
you to get another.
Get one paycheck?
No getting one paycheck.
Money. Money motivates you.
Money.
Money, all right. Bill, why don't we work
Oh,
around this
okay,
one?
I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. That's
I
okay.
was
I was right, too.
looking at the wall,
Look at the wall.
looking at the wall.
What-
Like competition.
Out there, up there.
Oh!
Listings and it's closing.
Look at the sales board. The sales board. I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. That's why we put it there, actually, to motivate people. Yes.
I'm going to say be positive.
All right. Be positive.
That's good. I don't have anything.
Oh, which way should we go? This way? Want to start with Tina? Or
Go that
It
way.
might not
Okay.
make any sense to anybody.
That's okay.
Arguably,
It might. You never know.
I just think about the past. It motivates me to go back to what I was and try to get there again.
Awesome. Awesome. Look at where you've been. Absolutely. I like that. See, that makes sense. Yes.
I like going in the office, staying connected to the office.
That's
Because
very
you
good.
know,
Look at what?
I do.
Go in the office. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good.
yeah.
I wrote my goals, and I have a little sign that says Sheila's goals, and I wrote my goals in the back, so I turn that over when I get to my desk, and I look at that. And then if I've had some success, I put that on my little success board, and I look at that.
Wow. So goals on your desk, and look at your success board. It's very powerful. They actually there are courses on goal setting, and they always tell you have a visual and keep it in front of you all the time. Yes.
Calling expired.
Call expired. All right, Ken.
Talk the talk.
I like that. Yeah.
Very good.
Talk the talk, walk the talk. They both. It makes sense. Thank you, Ken. Joanne.
I just call the person that gives me the most referrals and take her to lunch. Take her to lunch.
I love that. You did that last week or a couple weeks ago. You told
Yeah, we
me.
just
Yeah. Call someone who loves you, right, and take them out, right? So
She makes me feel good. She loves me.
call referral. That's a great one. That's good. Yes, Diane.
I will drive sometimes around and just call the FISBOs when I'm in front of their house, and I tell them I'm a realtor, and I say I'm out in front of your house. I don't have anyone with me. May I preview your property in the event that I can find you a buyer?
Great.
And I've
How do
gotten
you
into
go
more
for not on
houses.
a do not call list?
Yeah.
I don't care.
If they've got a sign out front with their phone number on it, I'm gonna call them.
That's what I want to hear. I want to hear how to get rid of the do not call.
Yeah,
Stop
that's
worrying about
a-
it. It's true. It's such an obstacle And when I first
like
started
it.
in business,
I don't like
used
people
to,
calling me during dinner, so I like to be not called.
Oh, one of my ideas.
when I first started in business, that was my absolute best source of business. I would just, and I hated it.
There's not a lot of people
I would-
on there, though, is there? I mean, I
I'd pick up the phone and I'd start making phone calls. Just, I don't
What?
care, even if it meant just opening up the book, the local
Really?
phone book, and stuff. Hey, I know this is a long shot. It's a real shot in the dark. You're going to think I'm crazy, but I just need to know. Do you know anybody, or do you know anybody who needs to buy or sell a house? You wouldn't believe how much business I got.
It's because your voice is so pretty. It doesn't work for me.
It's, that's true.
Yeah,
And
you're like, no, sir.
I visualize my girls going to college.
Ah, okay, great.
Yeah.
Good.
What did
What
he
is
say?
that?
What did he say?
Visualize his girls going to college.
Visualize what?
Visualize
Oh, my son's graduating this year.
There you go.
Next.
Take a vacation.
Vacation. All right.
Oh, that's good though. We'll look for it.
Make sure
You gotta
pay
save
your
for it.
vacation.
Okay, next. Judy.
I think if you haven't been busy for a while, you need to energize yourself. And if you, for me, if I get out into my sphere of influence or contacts and get talking and doing, that energizes me.
So getting out there
Yeah.
and talking, right? Right. Next.
Or to come back to the office when you've been away because you're not busy, just to come back in.
Yes.
And nearly always somebody will say, guess what, I'm listing a piece of land, and you go, oh my God, I've got somebody.
Yes.
You know, it nearly always happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What Martin is touching on too is the fact that statistically, people who are affiliated with larger offices that have more people in the offices make more money because activity breeds activity. Absolutely. So, it makes me laugh when some people say, well, I'm leaving because the office is too big, I want to be in a more, family, listen, you can have a big office and have a big family, right? And, they want to be in a more quieter environment and all this. I mean, they're shooting themselves in the foot because I want to be in a smaller office, and I like the feeling of a smaller office. And that has nothing to do with it. That's not going to help their productivity.
I want to say an example. I was in Westfield at one time, and I thought, I'm going to go in the office just to see what's going on over there. And this girl came in and said, guess what, I'm listing a church. I said, I don't believe it. I said, I have a lady that they want to buy a church, some Vietnamese people.
Wow.
I said, it'll all depend where it is and all that. We sat down and talked, and it was exactly where I wanted it, and I sold the church.
Wow, that's
That's
great.
an example.
So go
And
into
that
the
was-
office.
That was
So you want to make a sale? Go into the office.
intervention.
No one.
My second job is devoting 100%.
Ah, I like that. I'll mow you. Quit your job.
Linda?
She said, quit your second job.
What? Quitting my second job.
I started out part-time in real estate, and you know what? What really motivated me and got me excited and kept me moving, I quit my job. Floyd calls that burning the bridge.
Yeah.
You can't go back. You're stuck. Now you have to make it work. And now you're going to do the things that you have to do, to make it happen. So that can happen. That's a great one. Yes, Suzanne.
I'm not going to, well, I was going to say red pumps I saw, but I'm going to say the trainings keep me
Training,
motivated.
okay. Debbie made Debbie was joking around a little bit, but I went to a seminar once where the speaker said that he was a sales manager and he wanted to motivate one of his salespeople, and he asked the salesperson, "What do you want when you make a lot of money?" He says, "I want to buy a Cadillac." And the manager put his arm around him and said, "Great, let's go. Let's go down to the dealership." So went down to the dealership, and he made this kid buy the Cadillac. And now he had this heavy monthly payment every month, right? And it motivated him to make the sales, to make the payments on the Cadillac. True story, by the way.
I had that happen to me.
Really?
It was with my first
So
bet.
John's taking you to a Lexus dealership.
Okay.
And Bill's going to co-sign? No, don't co-sign. Yes, Debbie.
I rewrite my goals every week. There's 10
great.
top goals, but I write the goal, and then underneath that I have the 3 ways that what I need to do to make that happen.
Wow, every week.
Wow. Good for her.
JR, that's a good one, Deb.
Just surround myself with positive people.
Excellent.
That's important.
Yeah.
Now, JR brings up a good point. And JR, I don't know if you're aware of this statistic, but I'm sure you'll agree with it. Well, listen to this. You ready? Studies have proven, this is a fact, that if you take the 10 people that you hang around with the most, and you took all their income and you divided it by 10 and you came up with an average, that's probably what your income is. Your income averages the 10 people that you hang around with the most.
I need better friends.
We need to. Absolutely great. Well, listen, you've all been great, and you're so great that here's what I'm going to ask you to do now. Okay? I want you to always walk away with an activity. Listen, many times, no, the clipboards stay, please. That's why we put the name on. The clipboards stay for future training events. It's not a gift. The gift is this seminar, okay? So here's what I want you all to do, okay? Here's the homework. If I could have your attention for a minute, please. You know, many times in the past when I've gotten an award, I walked up on stage like this, you know, to get my award, right? And many of you, when you go to get your awards in the future, and if I ever get an award again in the future, I'm gonna go up on stage the way I earned the award. And next time I get an award, I want you to do the same thing. I'm gonna go like this. Come up on the stage again. Thank you all for coming here today. You've been awesome. I'll stay behind and answer any of the individual questions, but have a great day. Thank you. Oh, good. Good. You can just leave your clipboards on the chair if you want. That's fine. I put them together.
Nice seeing you again.
Yeah, my pleasure. See you in the top producer circle.
Okay. Have a great day.
Thanks.
So one of my goals
Yeah.
I want to be
See, that's the policeman.
teammates around me all
Right there.
Go to the office?
Yep.
We'll learn.
Thank you for moving.
Right, you
Oh, no, what, you went to go
Now
with
we're
what?
Station out.
Some houses that were 165 now. You could get Canton, and then a garage and website, but we go with Wilbraham did. And I ended up as a query, and you never know. But
I mean, we have a list.
You know, we do I'll find it.
Well, I mean, they have that certain criteria.
Very nice house.
Oh, where's your desk?
I
just realized.
How are you?
That's here all the time.
Mary's doing something so
I couldn't roll. I was like,
Put it out
terrible.
there,
And then when more, I was
and it came back.
I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
And it was
And
terrible.
so,
Very
good
good
job.
You're welcome. Take
Last
care.
year I said, okay, I want a house worthy enough to be. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the meanest thing you can do. So I
You got
didn't say it.
So you have to eat.
But, yeah, see, nice to be together. That's a good
Right.
thing. I should be a mothball mafia for my clients. Everybody's
Exactly
old.
right.
You put it out there.
I mean,
That's
well,
powerful.
journal? I mean, I don't have $600,000.
That's funny.
And the other thing that I had a problem with when I lost my first one because I was too fancy.
1, 2, 3, 4, right?
That dictionary you told me to get, is that like a series of DVDs?
Yes.